Hello, my dear students. Welcome to IMS GATE Academy. I hope you are doing great. My dear students, we are inching towards the GATE exam. We have only almost 70 days for the GATE exam. So I sincerely request you to prepare the short notes as well as the competitiveness spirit by attempting the different test series. Okay. We at IMS GATE Academy, we also provide the All India mock test series, and we are going to give the test series in couple of days, and you can try that test series. It is a very competitive test series where you can try for all the subjects, and especially for civil engineering we have a very good team and we have made this test series. Around 12 test series are available for this, and you can give a try and it will be a free of cost. Okay, my dear students, today I am here to explain you the basic concepts of geomatics along with the beautiful problems. So I hope you are doing great, and all the best for your GATE exam. And I sincerely request all my dear civil students, start preparing, start realizing now. See, if you want to play a World Cup match, you should be very perfect in your practice. So for everything to be a success, practice is very important. So please switch off the Qatar FIFA World Cup and start attempting the GATE previous questions. Good evening, Nag. Good evening. So here today, my dear students, I would like to discuss about the topic called geomatics. Now, my dear students, previously they used to call it as surveying. When I talk about geomatics, my dear students, I have a very important point. We will talk about the history. What exactly history is? If you want to measure the distance between 2 points, my dear students, you used to measure using a chain or a tape. The distance between 2 points are measured using a chain or a tape, my dear students. Suppose if you want to measure the horizontal angles, my dear students, if you want to measure the horizontal angles, we have a instrument called compass. So horizontal distances are measured using chain or a tape, and horizontal angles are measured using the compass surveying. Okay. My dear students, if you want to measure the horizontal and vertical angles, remember, my dear students, you can go with an instrument called HA means horizontal angle, VA means vertical angles. You can go with an instrument called theodolite. So theodolite is an instrument used to measure the horizontal and vertical angles. So my dear students, when you want to automate all these instruments into a single instrument, that is nothing but the total station. That is nothing but what, my dear student? That is nothing but the total station. What exactly do you mean by total station? What exactly do you mean by total station is, a total station is a combination of electronic distanceometer and electronic theodolite. Good evening, Jagdish. So what is the purpose of total station, my dear student? The purpose of the total station is you can measure the distances and you can measure the angles just by focusing the points. That is the advantage of the total station. The type of surveying will be very fast using this instrument. Suppose if you are traveling to places like Himalayas and there is some valleys and this location you cannot access, so you will be introducing some unmanned aerial vehicles, that we call it as UAV. Unmanned aerial vehicles are called UAV. That means in case of disasters, what people try to do is, what's happening over there, you want to do some aerial survey without the intervention of a man, then they go with this unmanned aerial vehicle, and we consider in surveying, by taking the photos, you are trying to analyze this area, that is called as photogrammetry. So here what I have talked in the geomatics topic is how the history of survey has started. It has started with what, my dear students? It has started with chain, come up with compass, then theodolite, automation, all these three into total station, and we also come up across the photogrammetry. Now see my dear students, actually every year I am seeing a question from compass surveying. When I talk about compass surveying, every year I am seeing a question from compass surveying. So when I talk about compass surveying, so what exactly do you mean by compass surveying? Any idea my dear students? So what is a compass surveying is, it is a instrument. So the bearings or the angles or the direction of the survey line. The direction of the survey line is measured with the help of a compass. If anyone asks you the direction of survey line or horizontal angles are measured using the direction of survey line is measured with a compass. So here, my dear students, what is a compass surveying? It is a branch of surveying in which the direction of the survey lines are measured with the help of a compass and the lengths are measured using a chain or a tape. Now, my dear students, when we talk about geometry, if you want to point a point 1, 2, you will make it as first quadrant. If it is -1, -2, you will place in the third quadrant. So when you place these points, how you are going to place these points? These points are placed with reference to point called origin. Similarly, in surveying also, in compass surveying, so we also have a concept called, if this is a survey line, we are measuring the angle, suppose this is the angle. We have a concept called meridian. They call this concept as meridian. What is meridian is? It is a fixed line of reference. What is meridian, my dear students? It is a fixed line of reference about which the angles are measured. So when you have some 1, 2, you are taking the origin as reference. Similarly, you will have a reference to measure the angles. That reference is called meridian. Okay, my dear students. Now in meridian we have true meridian and we have magnetic meridian and we also have grid meridian and we also have the arbitrary meridian. So we have different types of meridians, students. When I have different types of meridians, what are the different types of meridians we have? True meridian. What is a true meridian? A true meridian is nothing but a line joining true north and true south. What is a magnetic meridian is a line joining magnetic north and magnetic south. What do you mean by grid meridian? Actually, this grid meridian is followed in USA. Suppose if you consider this as an area, this area will be divided into the grids. You divide the entire area into grids and you take the central portion as reference and you will be doing the survey of that area. This is called grid meridian. Like arbitrary meridian. Suppose you are in Hyderabad, you take, when you are moving towards old city, that is Charminar, you will take as reference. If you are moving towards high-tech city, you will take high-tech city as reference. If you are in Bangalore, you can take Vidhan Sabha as one reference, or means according to your convenience, you take the reference and you will be doing that survey. So that is the reason the word arbitrary itself is according to your convenience. So what is a meridian is? A meridian is a fixed line of reference about which the angles are measured, my dear students. We have different types of meridian: true meridian, magnetic meridian, arbitrary meridian and grid meridian. Now similarly, my dear students, when I talk about bearing, what is meant by bearing? This is the common question everyone asks me. Sir, what do you mean by bearing? My dear students, if you want to understand the problems related to traversing or compass surveying, this is very important. So when you take, what you mean by bearing is the angle between the meridian and the survey line. What is bearing? Bearing is the angle between the, this is very important, my dear students. Bearing is the angle between the meridian and survey line. Bearing is the angle between the meridian and survey line. So I hope you are clear what do you mean by meridian and also bearing. Now when I talk about bearing, my dear students, we have different types of bearings. One is true bearing, another one we have is magnetic. We have different types of bearings. One is true bearing we have. One is true bearing we have. My dear students, next one we have is magnetic bearing we have. One is true bearing, magnetic bearing, grid bearing, and also we have arbitrary bearing. So what do you mean by these bearings? If the bearing is with respect to the true meridian, then we call it as true bearing. If the bearing is with reference to the magnetic, my dear students, Atul sir, good evening. If it is with reference to magnetic meridian, it is magnetic bearing. If it is with reference to the grid, then it is called grid bearing. And if it is reference to the arbitrary meridian, then it is called arbitrary bearing. So with reference to the respective meridians, we call the respective bearings. Am I clear? Now, when I talk about the, sorry students, now when I talk about, there is a system, Samma, you feel these you know, but still I would like to explain you. We have a system called whole circle bearing, okay. Now, my dear students, whenever I will suggest you the one of the simple funda, whenever you are solving a problems in compass surveying, I recommend my dear students, to follow the or to solve the problem using only the diagrams. You feel that you can solve the problem, but once you draw the diagram, that is the easiest way to solve the problem. Because my dear students, why I am giving the concepts of compass surveying is, from last 3 to 4 years, every year I am seeing a question from this topic. So I recommend this as the highest priority. I am not telling that these questions only come from compass, but when you read geomatics subject, make like compass surveying as the highest priority chapter or topic. Now, when I talk about the whole circle bearing system, my dear students, suppose if you see these are the lines, if I see these are the lines, we call these lines here, see. So this is north, this is south, this is east, this is west. Now we call this point, I will assume as OA, and I assume this as OB, this as OC, and this as OD. Now, see the diagram, my dear students. This is very important. I assume this as alpha, and I assume this as beta, and I assume this angle as gamma, and I assume this angle as delta. Now, by looking into the diagram, my dear students, you should be able to understand what is this whole circle bearing is. The first and the foremost point I would like to tell you is meridian. See, bearing of a line is always measured from north in clockwise direction. What, sir? Bearing of a line, if you see the arrow here, if you see the arrow, it is always measured from north and also in clockwise direction. So these things I would like to tell you. So bearing of a line measured from north, bearing of a line measured from north. So in whole circle bearing, every bearing is measured from north, and also in which direction, my dear students? Can anyone tell me in which direction? In clockwise direction only. In clockwise direction only. Okay. Now here, what is the alpha value? Alpha varies from 0 to 90. If you see beta, it varies from 0 to 180. If you see gamma, it varies from 0 to 270. If you see delta, it varies from 0 to 360. So my dear students, when you see the bearing of this line, the bearing in whole circle varies from 0 to 360 degrees. Sir, in whole circle bearing, there is no need of mentioning from north or south, because whole circle bearing itself indicates by default their angles are measured from north. So the next one I would like to tell you is whole circle bearing is also known as azimuthal system. Whole circle bearing is also known as azimuthal system, and this is a typical question which is asked for 1 mark. Which compass follows whole circle bearing system? The compass which they follow for whole circle bearing system is prismatic compass. And how the prismatic compass, it will be like this, my dear students. 0 degrees at south, 90 degrees here, 180, and here it will be 270. So they can ask you, calibrations means you can say prismatic compass is calibrated with whole circle bearing system. Again, I conclude this 1 second, my dear students. Whole circle bearing means bearing of a line is always measured from north and always in clockwise. It varies from 0 to 360 degrees. This system is also known as azimuthal system. Pratik Mishra sir, thank you. And this is also known, this system is adopted in prismatic compass. Okay. Sir, in the previous sessions also, Pratik sir is one of our teammate and he is coming also live for structure analysis. So keep watching this channel for all the civil engineering updates and also for the other subjects also, for other branches also. Now, my dear students, when I talk about reduced bearing, sir, we have a concept called reduced bearing. We have a concept called reduced bearing. Sir, what is reduced bearing? Sir, this, why I am teaching this from basic here is, you should understand here that, my dear students, when I talk about reduced bearing, you should understand clearly, Amma. We have, this is north and this is south and this is east and this is west. So when I talk about north, south, east, west, see here, my dear students, we have this, these are the survey lines. You have to remember one important thing, my dear students, and keep it as a note. Whenever you are studying compass surveying, you should understand that the diagram is very important. Now, if I take the survey line OA or OB or OC or OD, we call this angle as alpha, we call this angle as beta, we call this angle as gamma, and we call this angle as delta. So, what is reduced bearing? Sir, whatever the angle we are measuring, whatever the angles we are measuring, the angles whatever we are measuring is always either from north or south. So, my dear students, I would like to assess you from the diagram. Can you tell me one statement? The bearing of a line is measured from north or from south or clockwise or anti-clockwise. But remember, my dear students, most of my previous students missed this concept. They will tell that it is measured from north or south, clockwise or anti-clockwise, but they will miss the most important point, whichever is nearer. That is very important, my dear students. So when I talk about this reduced bearing, bearing is measured. Here you should remember, my dear students, bearing is measured from north or south. Okay, in clockwise or anti-clockwise, whichever is nearer, whichever is nearer. This is the very important point I would like to add, my dear students. So when I talk about this point, this is the common point where you have to remember. Thank you, Vipin sir. Now see, what I would like to tell you here is, here what is alpha, you can write it as north alpha east. You can also write as south beta east. You can also write, sir, south gamma west, and you also can write north delta west. Sir, here in reduced bearing, my dear students, when I talk about reduced bearing, I remember that you have to mention the name. Signing convention is very important. In whole circle bearing, there is no requirement of naming convention, but in reduced bearing, this, suppose if you are taking first quadrant, it is in first quadrant and it indicates northeast, so northeast. But here in the second quadrant, it is towards from south and measuring towards east, so southeast. If it is measuring in the third quadrant, it is moving measured from south but towards west, southwest, and it is measured from north and towards west. So this is how the namings have been given. And remember, my dear students, the reduced bearing system is also known as, the reduced bearing system is also known as quadral system. Why it is quadral system is because the angle is between 0 to 90 only. As the angle is 0 to 19, my dear students, as the angle is 0 to 90, we call this system as what, sir? Reduced bearing system or quadral system. Okay. Now we have very important concept, Amma. Sir, this is the basis for traversing concept. What do you mean by forebearing? My dear students, can anyone tell me what do you mean by forebearing, Amma? What do you mean by forebearing? My dear students, what do you mean by forebearing is, suppose if I consider this as a survey line. Suppose if I have considered this as a survey line, you can say here, my dear students, the bearing in the direction of survey. So forebearing is known as, remember very important, Amma, Forebearing is known as is taken as bearing in the direction of survey. The forebearing is defined as what, my dear students? Forebearing is defined as the bearing in the direction of survey. Okay, the bearing in the direction of survey is nothing but the forebearing. The forebearing in the direction of survey is what, my dear students? It is nothing but the forebearing. Now, similarly, this angle is known as back bearing. We call this point as forebearing, and suppose if it is alpha, this we take it as back bearing. So back bearing is, in the name itself, in the direction opposite to the survey line. The bearing which is taken opposite to direction of survey line. The bearing which is taken opposite to the direction of survey line, opposite to the direction of survey line will be taken as what, my dear students? Will be taken as back bearing. Now, my dear students, this is as simple as your mathematics summa. Suppose this is alpha, we call this is also alpha because this is alternate angles. So you can write back bearing is equal to 180 degrees plus alpha. Am I clear or not? See here, this is supplementary and this is alpha. This is alpha and this is alpha. So plus 180 will give you. So you can write, my dear students, back bearing is equal to forebearing plus or minus, forebearing plus or minus, sorry, second students. Okay. You can write here back bearing is equal to what, sir? What? Back bearing is equal to forebearing plus or minus 180 degrees. Okay. You can use, when forebearing is less than 180 amma, you can use plus sign. If forebearing is more than 180, you can use minus sign. Sir, I will tell you simply how it is. Okay. Suppose, my dear students, see, if it is less than 180 means this is back bearing, I told you this is alpha and this is alpha. So this is forebearing and this will be what, sir? This is back bearing. So in this case, back bearing will be equal to forebearing plus 180 degrees, which I told you. Suppose if your forebearing is somewhere here, amma. Suppose what is the forebearing? Okay, this is the forebearing because the survey line is this. If you consider here, now what will be the back bearing? The back bearing will be in this way. So here this will be equal to alpha is back bearing. If I assume here alpha back bearing, okay, this will be alpha. So back bearing in this case will be equal to forebearing minus 180 degrees. So this case is useful when forebearing is more than 180 degree, sorry, less than 180 degrees. This is applicable when forebearing is less than 180 degrees, students. This is helpful when forebearing is less than 180, and this formula is applicable when forebearing is greater than 180 degrees. So remember, this is the basis for the entire traversing concept. So back bearing is equal to what, sir? Back bearing is equal to forebearing plus or minus 180 degrees. Forebearing is that you can use forebearing plus sign when it is less than 180 and minus sign is used when it is more than 180. Now, my dear students, I would like to give you one more important thing. See here, suppose this is the common question everyone asks me, Amma. Suppose if there is a survey line happening, this is a point A and this is point B and we have a point C, we have point C here like this. Suppose I'm assuming, sir, can anyone tell me how do you find out the angle B using back bearing and forebearing? Can anyone tell me what do you mean by angle B here? See here, students, I will tell you simply. This is known as forebearing of AB. So this is known as forebearing of AB. And remember these, students. Okay. And if I see, this will be the back bearing of AB. This will be what, sir? Back bearing of AB. And if I take this angle, this is the forebearing of BC. So from this diagram, this see sir, we have this entire thing is back bearing. This entire thing is back bearing. Okay. And if you remove this part, you will get the angle B or not. Are you getting me, or my dear students? This portion, 1 second sir, I will show you the different colors. Okay, now see student, this is back bearing. Okay, this is back bearing, amma. This whatever I am showing, this is back bearing, and this is forebearing. This is forebearing of this line. And what will be the angle B? What will be the angle B? What will be the angle B? This is angle B. How you will do? Orange minus red will give you angle B. Right or wrong? So here you can write angle B is equal to back bearing of AB minus forebearing of BC will give you the angle B. So whenever you are doing problems in compass surveying, this is very important, Amma. Thank you, Pragna sir. So here what I would like to tell you here is angle B will be calculated. You can write with a generalized thing. Any included angle or any included angle means the angle which is included. Any included angle can be taken as back bearing of preceding line. You can write it as a generalized one. Back bearing of preceding line minus forebearing of succeeding line. Minus forebearing of succeeding line. Okay. This is one of the important thing I would like to tell you. So this is the basis, Amma. If you can understand this concept, any problem you can be solving. So remember, included angle of anything is, if you see angle B, what is the preceding line? This one. What is the succeeding line? BC. What is the preceding line? AB. So back bearing of preceding line is AB minus forebearing of succeeding line. I'll give you some interesting problem. Sir, see, if the forebearing of, the question I am giving you, if the forebearing of AB is 20 degrees in a rectangle. What sir? If the forebearing of AB is 20 degrees in a rectangle. Okay. In a rectangle ABCD. Okay, my dear students, he is telling what is the forebearing of AB. I am writing here AB, CD. Okay, ABCD. I am just assuming, sir. He is giving what is the forebearing of AB is 20 degrees. Now he can ask you what is the forebearing of DC. What is the forebearing of DC? They can ask you. The forebearing of AB is 20 degrees. What will be the forebearing of DC? Remember, my dear students, in a rectangle or in a square, I will tell you the shortcut and I will tell you the proof also. Don't worry. In a rectangle or a square, okay, the included angle is how much, Amma? The included angle is nothing but 90 degrees. Here this angle is 90 degrees, as you are aware. In that case, forebearing of AB will be equal to the forebearing of DC. And similarly, this is the shortcut I will tell you. Forebearing of AD will be equal to forebearing of BC. If it is a rectangle or a square, you can say that this formula is applicable. So no need to solve the problem. You can directly say that forebearing of DC is equal to 20 degrees, and this is how you have to solve the problem. Okay, good evening Satish. Okay, my dear students, see, when I talk about here, what is AB? AB is how much, Amma? AB is how much? AB is 20 degrees. The forebearing of AB is how much, my dear students? The forebearing of AB is 20 degrees. Thank you, Satish. So here, when I talk about the forebearing of AB is 20 degrees, what I would like to add here is, remember, my dear students, we have come up with a beautiful concept. You should be very fast enough to tell me. Even if you are a mechanical engineer also, if you know the basics of mathematics, this problem should be solved. So when I talk forebearing of AB is how much, my dear students? Forebearing of AB is 20 degrees. So immediately, what will be the back bearing of AB, Amma? What will be the back bearing of AB? Back bearing of AB is 20 plus 180 degrees, that is equal to 200 degrees. So when I know in a rectangle or in a square, the included angle is 90 degrees. So you can write angle B is equal to back bearing of AB minus forebearing of BC. Back bearing of AB minus forebearing of BC. So what is the included angle? It is 90 degrees. And this back bearing of AB is how much, Amma? 200 degrees. So forebearing of BC will be equal to how much, my dear students? Quickly answer me. Students, you should quickly answer me. The forebearing of BC is nothing but 110 degrees. The forebearing of BC is 110 degrees. So it is clearly in the second quadrant. So this value is how much, my dear students? This is 110 degrees. So again, if you want to find out the angle, see, suppose if you want to find out, sorry, I'm not having the space. Okay, suppose if you want to see this angle, my dear students, suppose if you want to know, now you have to find out the angle DC, right? This angle. So this, whatever this angle you should know. So again, angle C is equal to what you can write? Back bearing of preceding line is what, sir? Back bearing of preceding line is BC. So minus forebearing of the succeeding line is CD. Sir, most of my students will write wrong this also. Back bearing of preceding line is B to C and next line is C to D. You have to follow either cyclic or totally anti-cyclic. So here 90 degrees. Sir, forebearing of BC is 110. Back bearing will be equal to how much, sir? 290 degrees. 290 degrees minus forebearing of CD is equal to, so forebearing of CD will be how much, my dear students? It is 200 degrees. Now, this is another important problem. Remember, if you want to know the back bearing, just swap the names. Forebearing of DC, CD will be equal to back bearing of DC. Okay, because just swap the name, it will become back bearing. So back bearing of DC is 200. If back bearing of DC is 200, what will be the forebearing? Forebearing will be equal to how much, sir? Forebearing will be equal to, forebearing of DC is 20 degrees. So hence proved, but you can solve the problem in 1 minute, my dear students, with my shortcut. Whenever there is a included angle, whenever there is an included angle, see, my dear students, sorry, we have derived this. Okay, write down this question, my dear students. Whenever the forebearing of AB or BC, sorry, whenever there is a forebearing of AB some angle x degrees, you can say in a rectangle or a square. I am least bothered whether it is a rectangle or a square, Amma. Wherever the included angle is 90 degrees, you can follow that the bearings are same. That if you are following from A to B, you cannot say that, sir, this is also another mistake you will be doing. If you are telling in this direction, here also it will be same in this direction. If you are telling B to C is same, then A to D is same. So in this way, the things will work out. I hope you are clear with this problem, and it's a quite interesting problem while you do the compass surveying. Okay. Now, my dear students, we also want to talk about you declination. There is a concept called declination. What is you mean by declination? Actually, what is the purpose of declination? Actually, you heard about sailors, the people who are sailing in the ships. We call it as sailors, or we call it as mariners. So usually mariners used to call this declination as variation. Sir, mariners, the people who are traveling in the sea, they call declination as variation. Can you tell me why they are called as variation, my dear students? Because it changes from time to time and it changes from place to place, the declination. So, why they are calling it as variation means, as it is changing from time to time and also from place to place. Here, I would like to tell you one important thing, Amma. First of all, what is declination means? It is the inclination of the magnetic needle with respect to the horizontal. Okay, or you can say true declination is the difference between true bearing and magnetic bearing. So what is declination? Declination is nothing but true bear. It is the difference between true bearing and magnetic bearing. Sir, in IES and all the competitive exams, they see this question. What is the line joining points of equal declination? And what is the line joining points of zero declination? What is declination? First of all, first learn this. It is the difference between true bearing and magnetic bearing. So here I will tell you with the diagram, Amma. If I assume this as true north and this as true south, okay, there is another declination towards eastward, we call toward, and we call this as magnetic north and we call this as magnetic south. This term delta can be taken as a declination towards east zone, towards east side. So remember, my dear students, declination can be taken as true bearing minus magnetic bearing. And the next thing I would like to tell you here, students, true bearing can also be written as magnetic bearing plus or minus declination. True bearing can be also written as magnetic bearing plus or minus declination. And remember, my dear students, true bearing can be taken as magnetic bearing plus or minus declination. See here, plus sign will be used towards eastwards and negative sign will be used towards westwards. When the declination is towards eastwards, you take it as positive, and when the negative sign is towards westwards, then you will take negative. And remember this point, please understand, my dear students, whenever they give you some forebearing, if they give you forebearing in reduced bearing, suppose reduced bearing, they give you n alpha east, north alpha east, if they give you reduced bearing. What if they ask you back bearing means? Just to swap the north with south and east with west. This will be your back bearing. So this is the one of the important point I would like to tell you. Whenever there is a forebearing given in north alpha east, just swap the directions, you will get the back bearing. Now, why I have told this point here, my dear students, is please don't follow reduced bearing system when you are finding true bearing or magnetic bearing. My dear students, you can follow with the diagram, but if you are using the formula, this formula, I sincerely ask you to do in whole circle bearing system. If the final answer is reduced bearing system, the final output you convert the whole circle to reduced, then you will get the answer. This is again I am stressing, note, please write down that note, students. Whenever you are solving declination problems, as for the practice or fast, you should follow. Thank you, Nikhil sir. Good evening, sir. Actually, what I would like to tell you here is, whenever you are solving problems related to true bearing or magnetic bearing, please follow the whole circle bearing system. I am not against reduced bearing, but when I tell you something, you should not follow reduced. You can solve the problem in reduced, but when you solve with reduced bearing, my dear students, when I have taught with my previous students, they have done blunders in the exam point of view. So we have done some rigorous analysis, and if we are doing the problem with the whole circle bearing system, never ever there is a wrong. So please follow this. In a hurry burry, if you follow reduced bearing, there can be a chances of mistake. So I want you to be done 100%. And remember, sir, in IMS GATE Academy, we have an excellent faculty pool, my dear students. If you are really liking our GATE booster sessions, it is not a kind of marketing or anything. If you really love our these GATE booster sessions, not only civil engineering, mechanical, electrical, please share to your friends. The students who are really aspirants of GATE or the students who are real GATE aspirants can go through these sessions and get some output. Means if they have to prepare for 10 to 20 hours, by watching these videos for 2-3 hours, they will get a glimpse how the problems can be solved easily, covering all the topics. So please don't forget to help your friends. This is kind of knowledge sharing is very important. So this will help you a lot. Now coming to the second point, my dear students, what is what is, when I talk about true bearing or magnetic bearing, my dear students, I would like to tell you one important thing. So what is isogonic line? When I talk about declination, what do you mean by isogonic line? What do you mean by isogonic line means, iso means same, sir. Anyone, you know, a line joining points of same declination is known as isogonic line, and a line joining points of zero declination is known as same. Iso means same declination. Zero declination we call it as agonic line. Zero declination we call it as what, my dear students? Agonic line. I hope you are clear with the concepts of declination. And one more thing, my dear students, suppose I'll give you one question on the fly. Suppose if the bearing of a line, you can write like this, sir. If the bearing of a line AB, if the true bearing of a line AB is south 30 degrees west, okay, and declination is 5 degrees west, okay, what will be the magnetic bearing? What will be the magnetic bearing? What will be the magnetic bearing? So this is what he is asking, Amma. So this is a simple question, my dear students. The question here is, he has given one question, the true bearing of a line AB, sorry, the true bearing of line AB is how much, sir? South 30 degrees west. So south 30 degrees west is how much, my dear students? Suppose if we draw the diagram, Amma, this is north, this is south, and this is west, and this is east. And we have true bearing. This is true bearing, Amma. Remember, true bearing is always measured from true north or true south. And this angle is given as how much, my dear students? This angle is given as 30 degrees. This angle is given how much, sir? This angle is given as 30 degrees. So here the true bearing of line AB is given as south 30 degrees west. So here this is the true bearing, and the declination is towards where, sir? The declination is 5 degrees west. So, sir, see, here it is westward. You say this is westward, and see, sir, this is westward. 5 degrees is declination towards westward. And if I take this, these are vertically opposite angles. So this will be also 5 degrees. So this is magnetic north and this is magnetic south. So if I talk this, what is will be the magnetic bearing means? Magnetic bearing will be taken as how much, Amma? Sir, what is magnetic bearing? A bearing which is measured from either magnetic north or magnetic south. So here, sir, why I have not drawn towards east side? Because the declination is towards west side and it is 5 degrees. So you can write here the total 5 degrees plus 30 degrees. You can write as south 35 degrees west. This is how you solve the problem using diagram. So these kind of things, some people might be confused. So we will solve how the problem in the whole circle system. Suppose if it is south 30 degrees west, Amma. If it is south 30 degrees west means, when I talk about the reduced bearing, my dear students, when I talk about the, okay, we'll see the next slide, sir. First of all, it is south 30 degrees west. When I talk about south 30 degrees west, sir, here it is in which quadrant? Third quadrant. So this is south and this is west. And this is north and this is east. So what will be this angle? If you convert into whole circle bearing, this is 180 degrees plus 30 degrees. So this is equal to how much, sir? 210 degrees. So true bearing is equal to how much, sir? 210 degrees. Now see, students, declination is how much, Amma? Declination is 5 degrees. How much, sir? Declination is 5 degrees west. Now, my dear students, true bearing is equal to what, sir? Magnetic bearing minus declination. Why it is minus declination, sir? Why it is minus declination, my dear students? Because in the question, he has given you clearly it is west. In the question, he has given you clearly west. So, true bearing is equal to how much, sir? True bearing is equal to how much, my dear students? True bearing is 210 degrees minus is equal to magnetic bearing. Minus declination is how much, Amma? 5 degrees. So, magnetic bearing is equal to how much, sir? It will be equal to 215 degrees. Sir, if I convert this into whole circle bearing, sorry, this is the whole circle bearing he got. What will be the whole circle bearing means? See, this is 215 degrees means third quadrant. The entire thing is 250. So what will be this angle? It will be equal to 215 minus 35. Sorry, 215 minus 180. That will be equal to 35. South 35 degrees west. So if you see in the if you see this problem, diagram you can easily solve, but I will recommend you to do this because the math you can do very easily quickly. Okay, sir, is it clear for everyone? Is this clear for everyone, sir? Okay, thank you. Next, we have another important concept, Amma, that is called, sir, actually we have a concept called local attraction. We have a concept called local attraction. Sir, when I talk about local attraction, what do you mean by local attraction? Suppose if you have a magnetic needle, Amma, if you have considered this as a magnetic needle, if I consider this as a magnetic needle, if there is some influence of magnetic materials around that needle, the needle gets deviated. Sir, the needle gets deviated somewhere like this. Are you getting me? Sir, actually the needle will be the part like this. It should be like this to be perfect. But due to the influence of magnetic material, the needle gets deviated. In this case, you will find local attraction. Now, my dear students, I would like to tell you what is the condition of local attraction. There was a previous GATE question also, Amma, on this 2 times they have asked you. In the recent last 5 years, they asked you 2 times. So, what is the point I would like to tell you is, suppose if back bearing of any 2 stations, that is, I will assume it as AB, station AB. Suppose if I have taken 2 stations A and B. Okay, my dear students, back bearing minus 4 bearing of AB is equal to 180 degrees. Remember, very, very important, no stations are affected by local attraction. Again, I am telling you, my dear students, if the back bearing minus 4 bearing is equal to 180 degrees, you can say that no stations are affected by local attraction. Please write down this point and this will help you very important things. Suppose what I would like to tell you here is, there is another important point. If back bearing AB minus 4 bearing AB is not equal to 180 degrees, we have very important things, Amma. If this is not equal to 180 degrees, now I will tell you 3 important concepts. That is, first one is station A only can affect. Only station A can affect. Okay. These can be the chances, sir. Station A only can affect, or you can say station B can affect, or you can say station B can affect. Okay. Or both stations A and B can affect, or both stations A and B can. Okay, my dear students, I hope you are clear. So, what I would like to tell you is, using these cases only, there was a previous GATE question, Amma. They have given 4 to 5 readings and they have observed that which station is not affected by local attraction. Suppose if you see like this, a station AB, BC, CD and like this. Remember, there is a 4 bearing here and back bearing here, my dear students. I will give you XY and this is ZX, sorry, ZR, you assume ZR or KL. If I assume ZR. Now, if the X minus Y is equal to 180 degrees, indicates that A and B are not affected. Okay. If Z minus R is not equal to 180, if K minus L is equal to 180, K minus L is equal to 180. Now, can you tell me which station is affected, Amma? Can you tell me which station is affected? If A minus station A, B is X minus Y is equal to 180, B and C, okay, which station is affected? Actually, this is also not equal to 180, sir. Sorry for the information. This is also not equal to 180. Then from this diagram, what you can understand, which stations are not affected means A and B are not affected. Which stations are affected means there can be C or D. So these, I'm just giving an example, Amma. The stations which are affected are, this can be C and D. So whenever you want to find out which stations are affected, you should understand the difference between back bearing and forebearing. First try to understand the back bearing minus forebearing. If they are not affected, then you directly say that you write the stations like this: A, B, C, D, E. Not affected, immediately cancel that like this. Which are affected, you put a tick mark. If they ask you which are affected means you put tick mark. If they ask you which are not affected, you put tick mark. How easily you can solve this problem? This is how I will explain you, Amma. Okay. Next, my dear students, I would like to give you some emphasis on photogrammetry. Sir, whatever I told you, sorry. Okay, whatever I told you that is related to compass surveying, we'll discuss some more part on traversing also. Before that, I would like to give you some quick revision on photogrammetry. What do you mean by photo, Amma? Photo is nothing but light and metry means measurement. Sir, I have a small question for you. Why do people require two eyes? Did you ever think why do people require two eyes? Suppose if you have hands and close one eye and continuously start moving the hands quickly, you cannot perceive the depth. Or if you want to watch a 3D movie, if you close one eye, you cannot see the 3D view. Remember, the two eyes with a parallactic angle, we are going to observe the 3D dimension, that is perceiving the depth. Okay, actually there two eyes will reflectance, okay, like this, and this is where we call 3D or depth. Okay, this is an advanced topic, just for your information I am giving you. Why do people require two eyes is to perceive the 3D depth. Don't tell me that we can see here and like that and all. Okay, now my dear students, in photogrammetry, what do you mean by, what is the definition of photogrammetry? What is the definition of photogrammetry? Any idea, my dear students? Photo means light, grammetry means measurement. Now, my dear students, photogrammetry is the art of science. It is the art of science obtaining reliable information about physical objects by the process of recording. Photogrammetry is the art of science obtaining reliable information by the process of recording, measuring, and interpreting the photos. So you do this. Now, how do you record, Amma? When you capture a camera, using the camera, you record the things. And how do you measure? Sir, in photo, if you measure distance between 2 points, you measure the distance as some x. But actually in ground, you measure it as some x kilometer. And here you measure it in centimeter. So this you will be doing interpolation using the scale. Now, what is the scale, my dear students? When I talk about scale, when I talk about the scale also, okay, before moving to the scale, we have two types of photogrammetry, Samma. One is aerial photogrammetry and terrestrial or ground photogrammetry. Aerial photogrammetry means the photos are taken with camera mounted on aircraft. The speed at which the photos are taken is very fast in aerial photogrammetry. In aerial photogrammetry, the speed at which the photographs are taken is very fast and there is no omitting of data. For ground photogrammetry, you will use for special features like mountains, hills, rivers and all. So we have different types of photographs also called vertical photograph and aerial photograph. If the line of if the camera axis is perpendicular to the line of gravity, we call it as vertical photograph. If it is the line of camera axis is not perpendicular to the line of gravity, then we can say that it is an oblique photograph. And oblique photographs cover larger area when compared to vertical photograph. Now see students, when I talk about a scale of a photograph, the scale of a photograph is defined as the photo distance by ground distance. What is scale of a photograph, my dear student? It is defined as photo distance upon ground distance. The scale of a photograph is defined as the ratio of photo distance upon ground distance. And remember, the scale is also taken as F by H. What is F means? It is focal length and h is known as the flying height. What is f, sir? F is known as the focal length and h is known as the flying height. H is known as the flying height. Now, my dear students, what is flying height here is, sir, see, suppose if you have seen the diagram here, okay, if this is the point where camera is mounted, and if you see this as a principal point, okay, and if you consider this as a photo, and the points on photo are represented by small, and the points on the ground are represented as capital B. Now, the distance from the camera to the ground is known as flying height. Flying height means the height at which the camera is mounted on the aircraft, or the height at which the photos are taken from the camera is flying height. And this distance is focal length. Okay. From similar triangles, S can be written as AB, photo distance is AB, and capital AB is the ground distance. And from similar triangles, you can write it as F upon H. Sir, the same, we have different cases also here. If you are standing on top of a building and seeing the scale, you can write it as scale is equal to F upon H minus H, where H is the height of a building, height of a tower, or wherever. If the ground is flat here, instead of that, if the ground is uneven, you can write scale is equal to F upon H minus H average. So these are the different cases. First formula is for flat ground, or second one case is for when you're sitting on top of a building, then it is the scale, and this is when the ground surface is uneven. Okay, okay, my dear students, please solve this problem. Okay, now please solve this problem, Amma. I'll be back in 30 seconds. Please solve this. Don't go away. Okay, my dear students, is the problem clear for everyone? Now, a camera, read the question, my dear students. A camera with a focal length of 20 centimeters is fitted in an aircraft used for taking a vertical photographs of a terrain. The average elevation of the terrain is 1200 meter above the mean sea level. What is the height above mean sea level at which the aircraft must fly to get the photographs at a scale of 1:8,000. Please read that question, my dear students. Now, the question here is, a camera with a focal length is how much, sir? Focal length is given as 20 centimeters. So, to convert into meters, 20 centimeter will be taken as how much, my dear students? It will be considered as 0.2 meter. It will be considered as how much, my dear students? 0.2 meter. Now, the average elevation of the terrain. The average elevation of the terrain is how much, sir? The average elevation of the terrain is 1200 meter. It is 1200 meter. What is the flying height? Is asking what is the flying height if the aircraft must fly in order to get the scale. Scale is also given, amma. Scale is given as 1 upon 8000, my dear students. Now, when I talk about the scale, my dear students, this is the third case, so scale will be taken as by the formula F upon H minus H average. So scale is equal to how much? It will be equal to 1 by 8000. The focal length is how much, sir? Focal length is 0.2 upon flying height is H minus H average is 1200. Average elevation is how much, sir? 1200. Okay. So average elevation is 1200. If you solve this, flying height will be equal to 2800 meter. Flying height will be equal to how much, sir? 2800 meter. Thank you, Pragya, sir. Now see, student, there was another question asked in this similar kind. A square area on the surface of the earth. A square area on the surface of the earth with the side how much, sir? With side 100 meter and a uniform height appears as 1 centimeter square. Appears as, Chandu, good evening. Good evening, Chandu. Appears as 1 centimeter square on a vertical aerial photograph. The topographic map shows that a contour of 650 meter passes through the area. Okay, if the focal length of the camera is 150 mm, the height from which the aerial photographs are taken is. Can anyone tell me what is this answer, my dear students? So here what I would like to tell you is 1 centimeter side, you can say 1 centimeter side is equal to how much, sir? 100 meter, because the square area is 1 centimeter square. If area is equal to 1 centimeter square of a square, what will be the side? Side will be equal to 1 centimeter. Now, if I convert this scale, scale is given as 1 centimeter upon 100 meter, and you know that 1 meter is how much, sir? You know 1 meter is nothing but 100 centimeters. So you can write 100 into 100. So scale is equal to taken as 1 upon 10 power 4. So scale can be written as 1 upon 10 power 4. This is the value of the scale. This is the value of the scale. When I talk about scale is equal to 1 upon 10 power 4, you have clearly showed that what is a contour, amma? A contour is nothing but an imaginary line joining the points of equal elevation. Using the contour, you can find out the height. So here he is telling this contour is at the contour passing through 650 meter means the height of the tower or the place where you are there. It gives you 650 meter. So scale is equal to what, sir? What is the focal length? Can anyone tell me the focal length is? So you can write scale is equal to F upon H minus H. Anyhow, scale is what? 1 upon 10,000. Focal length is how much, sir? It is nothing but 0.15. Upon flying height, you don't know. H minus 650. On solving this thing, my dear students, you will get H is equal to 2150 meter. So what is the answer we have? The answer here is C option, that is 2150 meter. Is it clear, my dear students? Is this clear for you? Is this clear, Amma? Is this clear? Okay. Next. Next, I will like to tell you what is relief displacement, Amma. I would like to give you the brief introduction of relief displacement. What do you mean by relief displacement? What do you mean by relief displacement? Sir, here I would like to tell you relief displacement is nothing but the lateral shift of the image. What is relief displacement? Relief displacement is nothing but the lateral shift of the image is nothing but relief displacement. So here what I would like to tell you, my dear student, if there is a point A here, if it is projected on the ground, it will be taken as A dash. But instead of this, when there is a relief, it will be projected somewhere here. This is known as nothing but the relief displacement. So what do you mean by relief displacement? You can write the formula here is delta R is equal to R1H upon capital H. So what this is the formula for relief displacement, and delta R is nothing but the relief displacement. Delta R is nothing but the relief displacement. Delta R is nothing but the relief displacement. Okay. And what is R1 is? R1 is the radial distance to the top of the image. What is R1? R1 is the radial distance to the top of image. R1 is the radial distance to the top of image. And you can write here what is H here is. H is known as the height of tower. H is known as the height of tower. What is H, sir? H is known as the height of tower. And what is capital H is? Capital H is known as the flying height. So delta R is nothing but what, sir? Delta R is nothing but the relief displacement. So I just want to tell you, I have told you all the parameters. Delta R is nothing but R1H upon capital H. Sir, here you can ask me, using delta R or relief displacement, what is the application if you ask me? The relief displacement is useful to identify the height of an object or a chimney or a tower or anything. And when the flying height increases, relief displacement decreases because it is inversely proportional. And when the relief displacement increases with increase in height of the object. Is it clear, my dear students? Now see, another important point I would like to tell you, my dear students. See how the relief displacement, if I explain you, if this is a tower, Amma, if I consider this as a tower, okay, my dear student, this is the top of the image A and this is the top of the image B, bottom of the image C. So, okay, if I consider this as a principal point, the distance from top of the image, this one will be R1 and this distance will be equal to R. So whatever this distance, the difference between top and bottom, this will give you the relief displacement. So this is how the diagram says. So I hope you are clear. Again, I am telling you, if the height of the image is more, the delta R will be more. If the flying height is more, the delta R will be less. So this is what exactly is relief displacement means. So what is relief displacement? It is the lateral shift of the image. It is useful for finding the height of the object or a chimney or anything. And another important thing, delta R is given as R1H upon capital H, where R1 is the radial distance to the top of the image, H is the height of the object, and capital H is the flying height. I hope you are clear. And relief displacement increases with increase in height of the object and decreases with increase in flying height. Because these kind of questions can be asked in relief displacement increases with increase in height of the object. Relief displacement decreases with increase in flying height. Upward arrow is for increase and downward arrow is for decrease. I hope you are clear. Now see students, there are two towers here. See my dear students, please read this question carefully. Two towers A and B standing vertically on a horizontal ground appear in a vertical aerial photograph. So here what is trying to say is the length of the image of the tower. What you can say is the length of the image of the tower A on the photograph is 1.5 centimeters and of the tower B is 2 centimeters. And of the tower B is how much, sir? Is 2 centimeters. The distance of the top of the tower A is 4 centimeters. The distance of the top of the tower A is 4 centimeters. And the distance to the top of the tower B is how much, sir? It is 6 centimeters as measured from the principal point. Okay, if the height of the tower B is, 80 meter, if the height of the tower B is 80 meter, what is the height of the tower A? So here, if you see my dear students, okay, if I see here, he has given R1A and delta R1A and HA. Similarly, he will ask you what is, he will give you R1B, delta R1B, HB. Okay. Now see student, the question here is, if you see the diagrams, we have two towers, Amma. One is A and B. If I consider this as A and B, okay. and we have the images like this. Now he is going to see, okay, I'm drawing the rough view. So this is system A tower, this is tower B. Okay, this is the object to the top and this is the object to the bottom and this is the bottom and this is the top. So this distance, if I take this as principal point, this distance will be relief displacement. So here what he has given is, you can see the length of the image of the tower A is, this is 1.5 centimeters. Sir, length of the image, very important. Relief displacement will tell you about the length of image. I told you. It will give you the length of image. Instead of relief displacement, he has told what is the length of image. Length of image is nothing but the relief displacement, because I have told you clearly the application of relief displacement is to find the length of the image. So the length of the image is how much, sir? R1A is how much? Is 1.5 centimeter. You can say it is 1.5 centimeter and this one is equal to 2 centimeter. Okay. Now height of the tower B is 80 meter. Height of the tower B is 80 meter. Height of the tower B is 80 meter and R1 is the distance to the top of the object. R1 is the distance to the top of the object, that is 6 centimeter. Now you know that relief displacement can be written as R delta RB is equal to R1B into height of the tower upon flying height. In both the cases, the flying height is same. In both the cases, the flying height is same. You can write here delta R1B is how much, students? It is 2 centimeter. R1B is how much, sir? 6 centimeter. Height of the tower B is 80 meter. So what will be the flying height? So you can say centimeter cancel. The flying height will be taken as how much, students? Flying height will be taken as 240 meter. The flying height will be taken as how much, my dear students? The flying height can be taken as 240 meter. When I take the flying height as 240 meter, now here what is R1A? R1A is taken as 4 centimeter, I think. And what is the height of the tower A is asking. Sir, here when I talk here you should also understand delta RA is equal to R1A upon HA, height of the tower A upon flying height. Delta RA is equal to how much, sir? We got 1.5 sync, 1.5, right? This is 1.5 is equal to R1A is 4 centimeters. Both are centimeter. Height of the tower A you don't know, but flying height is 240 meters. So centimeter cancel. Height of the tower A 460, 60 into 1.5. This will be equal to 90. Any doubts in this, my dear students? So height of the tower A is taken as how much? Height of the tower A will be taken as 90 meter. Is this clear for everyone, my dear students? Is this clear for everyone? Is this clear? So whenever there is a relief displacement problem, you should understand that delta R is equal to R1 into H upon capital H. And the most important point you should remember, R1 is the radial distance to the top of image. Because if you take the bottom of the image, the entire problem will be wrong. And delta R, you can take it as, my dear students, you can take delta R as nothing but the relief displacement. Delta R will be taken as how much, sir? Delta R will be taken as relief displacement. Is this clear for everyone? Is this clear, sir? Is this clear for everyone? Now, please read this question, Amma. This is a beautiful question. A tall tower was photographed. A tall tower was photographed from an elevation of 700 meter. A tall tower was photographed from an elevation of 700 meter above the datum. The radial distances of the top and bottom of the tower from the principal points are 112.50 and 82.4. If the bottom of the tower is at an elevation of 250 meter above the datum, then the height of the tower is. I'll give you some 10 seconds of time. Please read the question carefully, my dear students. Students, see the boosting, it's a gate booster. So you should boost up your things by sharing your friends these links, because when you have a discussion to when you see this video, you will understand what kind of problems are taught and how easily we are solving these kind of problems, and you will also had a healthy discussion among your friends. So this gate booster is kind of a stuff where it will boost your things. Means here we are here to make difficult things into a shorter one and to save your time, because in civil engineering, my dear students, we have very good team in IMS GATE Academy. In this, we are handling the main subjects. What should be the preparation strategy? If you ask me for civil engineering, you should follow geotechnical engineering, environmental engineering, and transportation engineering. These are the three topics where you have to focus. But when I talk about geomatics, this is the topics where you will get easily 4 marks if your basics are clear. When I talk about RCC also, reinforced cement concrete, there these kind of subjects are very useful in the point of interview. But in the point of gate, my dear students, again and again I am telling you, and most of the people are feeling that gate exam is difficult. I just want to avoid this perception among the gate students. Suppose, my dear students, if I observe the statistics, if I see 1 lakh students are attempting for gate, only 10,000 students are qualifying for gate, amma. So you are competing with just 10,000, my dear students. Ankit Dongrial, thank you. Okay, you are competing. If 1 lakh students are competing for gate, only 10,000 students are the gate aspirants, we call. The remaining students will apply, but the competition is among 10,000. So to get into 10,000, you should be prepared. And remember, like GATE has lot of opportunities. You can get into public sectors, you can get into MTechs in foreign universities, or you can get into NITI Mumbai. So we have various opportunities. I'll discuss more in detail in some other video, this kind of stuff. But I would want you to be in an encouraging mode. Don't ever feel, some people will make you panic that GATE is a very difficult exam, it is a tough exam. But you are competing with the 10,000, you are not competing with 1 lakh. We are not competed with the number of students writing, we are competing with the GATE aspirants. GATE aspirants in my meaning, the students who have really prepared for GATE exam. So keep that aside. Okay, we'll see the question just to have a. Now, my dear students, I have a very important point for you. A tall tower is photographed from an elevation of how much, my dear students? It is elevation. Sir, see, the flying, sorry. Now see, sir, the flying height is 700 meter. The flying height is 700 meter. But remember, my dear students, the tower is at a height of 250 meter above the datum. If I consider that this is 250 meter, okay. Now there is a tower here, amma. There is a tower here, which is 250 meter. So he is giving the distance to the top and bottom. If I consider this as a principal point, okay. If I consider this as a principal point, this is the distance to the bottom R, and this is the distance to the top. This one is R1. So what is relief displacement? I told you, my dear students, relief displacement is nothing but R1 minus R. So here R1 is the distance to the top. Here it is R1 is how much? 112.50 mm. R is how much? 82.40 mm. So delta R will be equal to how much, sir? 30.10 mm. Now you know, sir, see, I told you the formula very simply. Delta R is equal to what, sir? R1H upon capital H. Capital H is flying height. But in the previous problem, we have discussed the datum is, see, the tower is at datum. But here, when we see here, the datum is at, sorry, the tower is at an elevation of 250. So here you have to take this height, that is 450 meter. Or you can write delta R from this. If you do the similar triangle concept also, you will get R1H upon H minus small, that is height of the elevation, you can write height of elevation. So if you do in this way, you will get, okay. Now what I would like to tell you is delta R is equal to R1H upon capital H minus H elevation. So delta R is how much, sir? You got it 30.1 mm. And what is the radial distance to the top? It is 112.50 mm. Into height of the tower, you don't know. That's you have to find out. H is 700 meter minus H is elevation. You can write H elevation. That is how much, sir? 250 meter. So if you solve this, mm cancel. 112.5 into 4 is 450. 4 times. So H is equal to 4 into 30.1 meter. That will be equal to 120.4 meter. That will be equal to 120.4 meter. Is this clear, sir? Is it clear, Chandu? Is this clear? Okay. Okay. Sir, this is a beautiful concept we have. Just go through this question. I'll be back in 10 seconds. Now, my dear students, this is a beautiful question, Amma. Chandu, this is a very beautiful question. Please be cautious, Amma. I'm expecting this kind of question this year, but it's a wild guess. I'm not telling it is 100%. Determine the number of photographs required to cover an area of 500 square kilometers with a photo scale of photograph 1 in 10,000 and the photo format size is 230 mm. Take the longitudinal overlap as 60% and the side overlap as 30%. Now, my dear students, here there is another important concept. If I consider this as a ground area, if I consider this as a ground area, okay, if I consider this as a ground area and if I take this as the area of each photo, if I take this is the small a as the area of each photo and if I take this as the ground area. So when I talk here, what is the number of photographs? When I talk here, what are the number of photographs is equal to? Number of photographs can be taken as ground area upon area of each photo. Number of photographs can be taken as ground area upon area of each photo. So for this, I would like to tell you one important thing. Whenever you are finding a number, both the things like numerator and denominator should be in same units. Both the things should be in same units. So when I see here, how this I'll tell you. If I consider this as a ground area, we consider it as a strip sum. You consider this as a strips. I am just giving this, you consider as strips. I'll tell you how these are strips. Okay. Okay. Now see, sir. Sir, we call this as a strip. So what is a strip is number of photos in a row. What is a strip, sir? Number of photos in a row. Number of photos in a row is known as a strip. Okay. And what we call side overlap and longitudinal overlap. The portion here this is called as longitudinal overlap, which is known as PL. And whatever we have here, this is called strip overlap, or we call it as side overlap. Okay, my dear students. So what is PL is longitudinal overlap, and what is PS is side overlap. If you want to find out the effective area of this shaded portion, so effective length of photo, if anyone asks you the effective length of photo, what is the effective length of photo? Effective length of photo is actual length of the photo is how much, my dear students? Actual length of the photo is L, and the percentage of longitudinal overlap minus percentage of longitudinal overlap into length L. So this is nothing but what, sir? This is nothing but the effective length of the photo. So when I talk about the effective length of the photo is given as L into 1 minus PL. If you want to change from photo to ground units, you have to divide it with scale. So my dear students, what is the effective length of photo is length of the photo into 1 minus PL, where PL is the longitudinal overlap. Similarly, if I talk about the effective width of the photo, it will be taken as W into PS upon S. W into PS upon S is taken as how much, sir? W into PS upon S is taken as, here what you will take is, how this, because PS is known as the side overlap. So when I talk about the number of photos, you can talk saying that total area upon L into 1 minus PL into W into 1 minus PS upon S square. Okay. Or you can write this is the formula. Sir, this formula is applicable only when the ground area is given. Okay. 1 second, students. Okay. Now see, student. Whatever the formula he has given here, I will tell you. Here the ground area is given as how much, Amma? Ground area is taken as 500 square kilometers. Okay. Now the length of each photo is how much, sir? 230 mm. So you can consider, okay. Now what will be the LE means? L into 1 minus PL upon S. The effective length of the photo. This is 230 mm. 230 into 1 longitudinal overlap is how much, Amma? This is 60%. So I take it as PL is given as how much, my dear students? It is 60%. So you take it as 0.6. Upon scale is 1 by 10,000. 1 upon 10,000. So what will be the effective length of the photo is, so 0.4, if you see 0.92, okay, 230 into 4 is how much, sir? 92. 92 into 10 power 4, you can write 0.92 into 10 power 6 mm. Why I have written like this is, you can say that 1 meter is equal to 1000 mm. 1 meter is equal to how much, my dear students? Is equal to 1000 mm, and 1 kilometer is equal to 10 power 6 mm. So here what I can write here is, effective length of the photo is equal to how much, sir? 0.292 kilometers. Effective length of the photo is how much, sir? 0.92 kilometers. Similarly, what will be the effective width of the photo is W into 1 minus PS by S. Here the effective width of the photo is how much, sir? 230 into 1 minus 0.4. Sorry, side overlap is how much, my dear students? Here it is 30, I think. So this will be equal to upon 1 upon 10 power 4. So this will be equal to 1.61 kilometer. So what will be the total? Now, effective length is 0.92 kilometer and effective width is 1.61 kilometer. So you can say here, so here it is how much, sir? Effective length is how much, Amma? 0.92 kilometer and effective width is 1.61 kilometer. So what will be the total number of photos? The total number of photos. What will be the total number of photos, sir? What will be the total number of photos, my dear students? The total number of photos will be taken as n is equal to total area upon area of each photo. Total area is 500 divided by 0.92 into 1.61. You will get a value of 337.18. Okay, roughly, and you get the answer. A photo cannot be a fraction. So 338. One more important thing I would like to tell you, my dear student. Chandu Sai, very good, Amma, very good. So the total number of photo is 338. Very good, Chandu, very good. So here what I would like to tell you is, whenever you are calculating the number of photos, sir, what is the basics of surveying, my dear student? What is the principle of surveying? The principle of surveying is working from whole to part. This is one of the interview question in software engineering, sir. Why they ask you? Because they understand what is your level in civil engineering. If you can understand the subject, they can also ask this. So what is the principle of surveying is? The principle of surveying is working from whole to part. Why not it is not part to whole? Because if it is whole to part, the errors will not accumulate. Or you can say, when it is working from whole to part, my dear students, the errors will not increase. And the second principle of surveying is locating a point with respect to two known points is the second principle of surveying. So again, here why I have told this point is, more the control points, more the accuracy. Similarly, more the number of photos, more the accuracy. Now, my dear students, when I talk about here, see, actually there is a method too, Amma. The same question, if we have to solve it in a method too. These are kind of empirical relations, sir. Sir, more the number of photos, suppose instead of that 500 square kilometers, in the problem they have given ground areas 500 square kilometer, Amma. But in the problem, in some problems, the same problem can also be asked in a different way. Instead of 500 square kilometer, they will tell you the length in the direction of flight. Length in direction of flight. Length in direction of flight is 25 kilometers. They can ask you the length in the direction of flight is how much, sir? 25 kilometers. Similarly, they can ask you the length perpendicular to the direction of flight. Here it is perpendicular, Amma. Perpendicular to the direction of flight, they can give you 20 kilometers. Now you can ask me, sir, can I multiply these two and solve the first method? Absolutely no. You cannot do that. Because that is the empirical things. So here they have given 25 kilometers in the direction of flight, and perpendicular to the direction of flight they have given you 20 kilometers. You cannot multiply 25 into 20 and solve the problem using the first. So here what you will do is, first you will find out what are the number of photos in the strips. So how do you do this is, you will find out the number of photos in a strip. So total number of photos can be calculated using the formula n1 into n2. I will tell you what is n1 into n2, Amma. The total number of photos can be calculated using the formula n1 into n2. So total number of photos can be calculated using the formula n1 into n2. So what is n1 into n2 is, n1 is the number of photos. What is n1, sir? n1 is the number of photos in a strip. What is n1? n1 is the number of photos in a strip. And what is n2, sir? What is n2 is, n2 is the number of strips. Okay. N2 is the number of strips, because I showed you clearly in the previous slides how many photos multiplied by the number of strips will give you the total number of photos. So when I talk here, my dear students, if you have an area, you are getting the total number of photos here, and you have the number of strips here. Okay, these are the number of photos. So total number of photos can be taken as number of photos in a strip, n2 is the number of strips. So if you do this calculation, you will get the total number of photos. So number of photos in a strip, if the total length is L, number of photos in a strip n1 is taken as total length in the direction of photo. Then what is the effective width of each photo, my dear students? L into 1 minus PL by S plus 1, my dear students. Sir, here this is very important, Amma. Why usually we do? Sir, if you see the center or the other image, suppose I will show you here clearly. Suppose if you have photos in this way, Amma. See, okay. Now, if you see the first photo and last photo, it is having only one overlap. If you consider the second one, all the intermediate photos will have dual overlap. So for the first and the second photo, we are adding this one value. Similarly, if you want to find the number of strips, N2 can be taken as W upon effective width of the photo is W into 1 minus PS by S plus 1. So you know what here L is how much, sir? 25 kilometer divided by L into 1 minus PL. It is how much? How much you got, my dear students? I think 0.92 plus 1. Students, if you solve this, you will get a value of 28.43. Remember, my dear students, suppose if you solve this, 20 divided by 1.62 or 1.61 plus 1. 1.61 plus 1. 1 second. Plus 1. So here you will get some 13.1 or something. Now, most of my students will do this wrong, Amma. You cannot multiply this N1 28.43 into 13.17. If you do that, it will be a wrong. What is N1, my dear students? N1 is the number of photos. When I tell you number of photos, remember, my dear students, a number should be a whole number. So this should be identical to 29 and this should be identical to 14. So what is the value you will get is total number of photos. What will be the total number of photos is 29 into 14. You will get the total number of photos as 406. Yes or no, my dear students? Quickly answer me. So why it should not be fraction? Are you clear, sir? Sir, most people will do 28.43 into 13. Sir, which method can be used in exam? Beautiful question, Chandu. Beautiful question. Chandu, I will tell you one important thing, Amma. If suppose, sorry, Chandu, here I am explaining you. The question is, if ground area is given, then go with method 1. Then you should solve the problem using method 1. Instead of that, if the length and width are given, okay, if the length and width are given, go with the method 2. Go with the method. Agree, Chandu? Agree, Chandu? Chandu, can you quickly answer me? When they give you length and width, okay. Thank you. Now see, students, we have another concept. Please read this question. An open traverse PQRST. An open traverse PQRST is surveyed using the theodolite and the consecutive coordinates obtained are given in the table. And the consecutive coordinates are given in the table. 1 second. Sorry, student. An open traverse PQRST is surveyed using the theodolite and the consecutive coordinates are given in the table. If the independent coordinates are northing, easting of a station P are 400 meter and 200 meter, the independent coordinates of station T are. The independent coordinates of station T are. Remember, my dear students, one second, students. Remember, my dear students, we have a concept called traversing, Amma. We have a concept called traversing. What is a concept of traversing here is a group of survey lines connected together. What, sir? A group of, for that problem, I am just giving some insight, Amma. A group of survey lines connected together is nothing but a traverse. A group of survey lines connected together, a group of survey lines connected together is nothing but a traverse. A group of survey lines connected together is nothing but a traverse, you can say. Now here, if I consider a survey line like this, my dear student, if I consider this as a survey line, with angle alpha. We call this as latitude, okay, the vertical line, and we call this as departure. We call this as departure. Okay. Now, if this is alpha, my dear students, or theta, this will be equal to 90 minus theta. So, departure, latitude will be L cos theta. If I take the survey lane as L, latitude will be equal to L cos theta, and departure will be equal to how much, sir? Departure will be equal to L sin theta. Departure will be equal to what, my dear students? L sin theta. So these things you should be very careful, my dear students. So what is latitude? The latitude is L cos theta and the departure is L sin theta. Here what I would like to tell you here is, suppose, my dear student, if I consider this as a survey line, here we call this as northing and here we call it as southing. Here we call it as easting and here we call it as westing. So here you can take latitude north as positive and departure east as positive. So this is another important thing. First quadrant both positive, latitude, departure. Second quadrant latitude negative, departure positive. In the third quadrant both are negative, latitude and departure. Fourth quadrant latitude positive, departure negative. So based on the coordinates, based on sum of the latitudes and departures, you have to consider the problem also. Okay, my dear students, is this clear for everyone? Okay, sorry. Now see students, we have a question given clearly. Find the independent coordinates of northing of station P are. The coordinates of station P are how much, my dear students? It is 400 meter comma 200 meter. It is equal to what, sir? 400 meter comma 200 meter. Okay. Now what are the values of northings? The sum of northings is equal to what, sir? The sum of the northings is equal to how much? 190.8. Is it 190.8? Because we take the values of sum of northings. And if I talk about the sum of the southings, it will be, sum of the southings, it will be equal to 196.1. Am I correct or wrong, my dear students? So I told you, northings will be taken as positive and southings will be taken as negative. So if I take this value, sum of latitudes is equal to 198.8 minus 196.1. This will be equal to minus 5.3 meter. Am I correct or wrong, my dear students? Am I correct or wrong, my dear students? Okay. Now, what will be the sum of the eastings? Here eastings is 45.5 and here we have is 55.5. If you solve these two things, you will get a value of sum of eastings will be equal to how much, sir? Sum of eastings will be equal to 101. And if you take the sum of the westings, if you take sum of, what will be the sum of westings, sir? Sum of westings will be equal to 130.9. So sum of eastings is how much, sir? 101 and sum of westings is equal to what, sir? 130.9. So here you have to tell me, I told you departure. So sum of eastings minus sum of westings. So eastings is how much, sir? 101 minus 130.9. Anyone quickly answer me? So it will be equal to 20 minus 29.9. So he has told clearly what is the independent coordinates of station P are given. What is the independent coordinates of station T? So when they are giving, sir, P, Q, R, S, T, this is a quadrant. So you can find the independent coordinates of T as, you know the coordinates of P, right, my dear students? You know the coordinates of P. The coordinates of P are how much, sir? It is 400 comma 200. Just you know the sum of the latitudes and the sum of departures. So just whatever the summation you got, suppose if it is positive, you will take it as positive. So 400 minus 5.3 minus of 200 minus 29.9. So both are like whatever you got, you have to add sum of latitude. But here my sum of latitudes is negative. Their sum of departures also negative. So you can write sum of the departures and plus sum of latitudes. So this will be equal to, this value will be 394.7 and this will be equal to 170.1. So the answer is how much, sir? 193, 394.7 and 170.1. And the option here is C. Is this clear, my dear students? Is this clear? Sir, one more important thing. Is this clear? And one more important thing I would like to tell you, my dear students. Whenever you are preparing for civil engineering, I would like to tell you one important things here. Okay. What is the important things? So what I would like to cover here is, sir, see, 1 second, my dear students. See, when I talk about civil engineering gate questions, Amma, like if you talk, which I taught you in the class or any online session, geotech will be coming around 14 marks. Okay. Transportation, you'll get around 10 marks. Sir, sometimes geotech will be also 10 marks also. Transportation, you will get around 10 marks. And this one will be also sometimes 10 marks. And geotech, transportation, environmental. Environmental will be also 10 marks questions. So almost 30 marks will be coming from this topic, Sama. In addition to this 30 marks, you read geomatics, which is a very simple question. You'll get 4 marks. And you read open channel flow, which is a very easy topic, and you'll get 4 marks. And you read CPM PERT, and also here you'll get another 2 marks. And you can get 4 marks from the top, like plastic analysis in steel. No need to study the steel topic entire thing. If you are into the last sessions, you can study plastic analysis or eccentric connection, either welded plate or bolted connection, but with eccentricity. Okay, if you cover this, you will get around 2 to 4 marks. So here almost what I am trying to do is, you are getting 42 marks from this subject. Like from your BT intermediate onwards, you will be studying about engineering maths and aptitude. You should be very confident in this. Just a practice is required for these subjects. Every day spend 1 hour for these topics. Engineering mathematics 1 hour, aptitude 1 hour, and for core, if you spend 3 to 4 hours, definitely you will get 25 marks here and around 42 to 45 marks here. Definitely you will prepare for 70 marks. And remember, when you prepare 70 marks minimum, you will get a mark of 55, which is below 1000 rank. So this is the things. You are stay tuned to this. I'll actually will give you one of the video how best we can prepare for GATE for civil engineering in the coming days. So stay tuned with our channel and share to your friends. I'll explain you much more clearly on these concepts. Okay. Now, 1 second, my dear students, we'll move on to the next question. So these are, see, remember, my dear students, how smart you are preparing is very important. There are some time where you are, Chandu, very good answers, Amma. Both the things you got the correct answers. There are some important things which I would like to tell you. People are more worried about answer. Once your concept is ready, okay, you can answer any type of questions. And one more thing, as we are inching close towards the GATE exam, please utilize the time in an appropriate manner. All the GATE aspirants, drink plenty of water and keep more focus on the subjects which we are discussing. Okay. Now the following detail, the next question we have is the following details refers to a closed traverse. What, sir? The following details refers to a closed traverse. PQ, QR, RS, SP. So see what are the values: northing, southing, easting, westing. And they are asking what is the length and direction of whole circle of bearing of closure respectively. Please solve that question, students. Oh, sorry, Prashant, sorry. At least you have informed me. Sorry, sir. Okay, sorry. Sir, actually what happened, no? I'll repeat the Prashant. The question here is the following details of a closed traverse. The following details of a closed traverse are explained here. The following details of a closed traverse is, you can say sum of northings as positive and you can say sum of southings as negative. When I take sum of northings, you got sum of northings as 520 and sum of southings is negative 520. So here you can say sum of northings minus sum of southing is 0. Chandu, am I audible? Chandu, am I audible now? Chandu, am I audible? Prashant, Chandu, am I audible, sir? Can you please quickly answer me? Okay, sorry. Okay, sum of northings minus sum of southings is how much, sir? Sum of northing minus sum of southings is 0. Similarly, sum of easting is positive. We take 731 and sum of westings is also negative. So you get a value of 1. So what is the length means? The missing line, that you call it as closing error. So closing error is equal to sigma L square, 0 square plus 1 square amma. So it will be equal to 1. So the closing error will be equal to 1 meter. Now what is theta amma? Theta is nothing but tan theta is equal to sigma d upon sigma L. What is sigma d, sir? Sum of departures is 1, my dear students. And what is sigma L? It is 0. Both are positive. This is very important. Sum of both are positive. When latitude and departure both are positive, which quadrant, my dear students? When both values are positive, you can say that it is first quadrant. So the answer, it will be tan infinity, that is theta will be equal to tan inverse of infinity 90 degrees. So it will be 1 meter and 90 degrees. Is it clear, my dear students? Is it clear, sir? Okay. Now, my dear students, I would like to tell you what is closing error and what is relative closing error in a traverse. Okay, this is very important, Amma. In a traverse, I told you, if I consider this as a survey line, if this is theta, latitude will be equal to L cos theta, because this is known as 90 minus theta. This is, and similarly, departure is known as L sin theta. So remember, these are the two things. And remember, if it is a closed traverse, Amma, if they give you in the problem, it's a closed traverse, okay, you have to say that sum of the latitudes is equal to 0 and sum of the departures is equal to 0. You have to say sum of latitudes is equal to 0 and sum of departures is equal to 0 in a closed traverse. What I would like to tell you is, the sum of latitudes is equal to 0 and sum of departures is equal to 0 in a closed traverse. The next point I would like to tell you is, sir, see, if there is a missing line, suppose they can ask you what is the missing line here, okay, or if they ask you what is this missing or dotted line. In this case, we also come up with a concept called closing error, that is nothing but, or missing line, that is equal to root over sigma L sum of latitude square plus sum of departure square. They can ask you another important question, Amma. One is relative closing error. They can ask you another important thing is relative closing error. So what is the relative closing error here is, my dear students, when I talk about relative closing error, you will be taken as error upon perimeter. Sir, what is P here is? P is nothing but the perimeter. What do you mean by perimeter is? Perimeter is nothing but the sum of the sides of a traverse. So sum of sides of a traverse is nothing but the perimeter. Okay. So this relative closing error, sir, in traversing, there can be one side, like there can be omitting of data, means one angle can be missing or one side can miss, both angles can miss, two sides can miss. So actually we have this closed traverse means sum of latitudes is equal to 0 and sum of departures 0. So with this, Actually, I'm not feeling well today, students. So that is the reason I'm trying to end this session now. And I hope you have enjoyed the sessions related to geomatics and RCC. I will be coming for transportation also. And my dear students, in civil, we have an excellent team. Me followed by Pratik Mishra. He will be handling environmental and structural analysis. And we have Mr. Ankit Dongrial, who is one of the exciting teacher, I can say. Is very fond of, and is an excellent teacher for geotechnical. I also teach geotech, but he is also one of the guy who teaches geotechnical, and he also teaches open channel flow. So stay tuned to our channel, my dear students. It is a channel where you can enrich your knowledge as you are inching towards GATE exam. And we are in IMS GATE Academy. We are having plans to give you the free AMTS work, that is All India Mock Test Series. We are going to give you freely in the coming in coming 1 or 2 months, like before the exam, like 45 days or 30 days before the exam, that will be available. So you can utilize this opportunity, and please share this session to all your college friends and who are the real GATE aspirants. We are also having a very good team in electronics and all the things. Okay, thank you, scientific world. Thank you. We have an excellent team for electrical and electronics also. We have in computer science also very good faculty. And the current ongoing life, like we have Subodh, who is an excellent teacher for networks, and we have Saurabh Pajay, and we have Atul Negi, like different mechanical, we have Vijay. So we have very good teams, sir. So this is the time for you to utilize. We are not here to do any kind of marketing. Just utilize our videos, how best you can utilize these videos to get your smart rank. So thank you one and all, and have a good day, good night, bye bye.